67th minute, and that game is still knotted up at 1-1. JD, when you look at this slate of games, what has stood out to you? Whether that's style of play, whether that's just players who've been able to really go through, what has stood out for you so far for AFCON this year?
What have stood out so far? I thought you asked me a first question. I wanted to answer that. Like, what was the big shocker? I wanted to start there, and then I can go to the stood out part. All right. Yes. So let me
Okay, well, well
start
then,
there.
well then, I'll switch it up for you, JD. So
You,
then, what was
you,
the
no,
shocker for
you
you,
asked me.
JD?
Yes, yes. Let me speak. Let me speak. Yes. It was very, very tight. It's like four different results. Egypt versus Mozambique 2-2. Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea 1-1, and Cape Verde.
Mhm,
Cape Verde 2, Ghana 1. Those three
mhm,
results on the first day definitely have me puzzled. I have not really, because Egypt, I thought that Egypt did enough to easily win this game. Nigeria had enough clear chances to win that game. I
mhm,
then I'm gonna choose Ghana versus Cape Verde, because I don't think Ghana was the better team overall. So that is the one that shocked me. They were not the better
mhm,
team. Ghana looked slightly around 2 points or so better for around 20 minutes in this entire game. All right. So
mhm,
the most shocking one was definitely Cape Verde, and Verde completely open this group if they can continue to play and look so convincing. The tactics from the coach, I like it. I like it because he looked, watch what changes they made when they brought in Inaki and those guys, and then soak up that pressure, and then made his adjustments and won it. And I thought that they fully deserved to win it in the end. So that is a shocker for me. What I've learned is the thing that I've known about the African tournament for the longest while. The teams that are technical and has a lot of skills players, it's easier for them to get results. But the
mhm,
physical teams that have a lot of skills, good players, it's not easy for them to get results in Africa, because the physically strong players them, and the less technical teams but good players, for some reason they can't just bypass the physicality, and that makes
mhm,
all of the results closer, aside from maybe Morocco's style, which is technical but mixed with defensive skill sets, so they can break it down and invite you up the pitch and work from the mid press. Yes,
mhm.
so those teams, Morocco, not Morocco, Egypt, they can grind out results a little bit better than Nigeria, Ghana for me. So that's what I've learned,
Mhm.
and it makes it a much more entertaining tournament overall.
I do tend to agree. I will disagree with one say where you say, well, again, we did pre-predictions and we did predictions before the week.
Hmm.
JD, I've been saying this for a while. Cape Verde is the team that I think is they were the team I've been saying for the last two AFCONs. They're the team that you need to watch out for. And finally, 4 years later, after one game, I feel vindicated and justified. You were right. They definitely looked the better team versus Ghana. They controlled the game versus Ghana. The be and it was interesting looking at people again, Ghanaian background. So it hurts me to say this, but Ghana hasn't played well for the longest time. So this result is less surprising for me and more expected. And I think when most people look at this from the outset, they say, well, oh, Ghana losing to a team, but Ghana made the World Cup. Ghana did this. And like, just no, go back and read the pages. Don't read the final results. Read the pages of how they made it. They didn't look good. They've played maybe two good games in the last 2 or so years. Now, the one factor that some people will say is yes, they were missing Kudus. They had no Kudus against a team like Cape Verde, and it showed because they lacked ideas. It really showed against Cape Verde. They lacked ideas in terms of what they want to do creatively wise. And Ransford Yabo, who played in instead of Kudus, number 7, who's been a player I've been hoping that they would give him an opportunity to play at some point. He looked lost, and I don't necessarily blame him, because at the end of the day, if you're a player and you've not been really trusted in big moments, and then you're then thrust into that position, you weren't eased into it. So it's like he struggled, but is it his fault that he struggled? I don't know. But that's enough Ghana talk for the day. Ultimately, Cape Verde winning is less as a surprise for me because they've been a team that I've been seeing that's been growing and going through. So for me, that's less of a surprise. Namibia over Tunisia, that to me is my surprise result. Because on paper, no one really was expecting that. We even in our previews, we were literally like Namibia. Thank you for being here.
Yes, yes.
Enjoy
Oh
enjoy
man.
your and for parts of this game, they were the better team. For chunks of that game, they were the better team on the pitch. And it should have been 2-0, minus an offside call here and there. But I think Namibia, to me, that's the result that is the most surprising. Ghana losing to Cape Verde, it was not a surprise based off the form that they've had. So I think that's not really move for it. And then the other game, which I think did you see the Algeria goal that was called off because of the offsides?
Yes, yes, for Algeria. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Algeria.
if that goal goes through, I think Algeria takes that game. But once that came off, it just felt as if okay, there's a little bit of hope for that team, and Algeria kind of it felt like they took their foot off the gas a little bit. But for me, the biggest surprise is Namibia over Tunisia because no one could arguably have said this other than Namibians. Ironically, on our video, I had chopped it up and put it up. People were saying, I don't know, you should watch out for Namibia. They did hold Ghana to a 0-0 draw. And I was like, that says more about Ghana than it says about Namibia, but I agree. But Namibia is a team, I think they might be the team where we look and say they're in the quarters and we say, oh, why didn't we see this coming? Well, because again, at AFCON, paper status doesn't mean anything, right? Nigeria should have won their game by at least 2-3 goals, but chances have to be finished, and that's what it is. Unless you find those consistent players who can do it, I think ultimately that's what's going to go through. But let's go through some of these comments here, people. We asked you again, who surprised you in either a positive way or a negative way? We go through. Pastor, good to see you as well. Well, no, find a snowmobile. We'll pray for that for you, Pastor. We have Omar Fallon saying Morocco. Yeah, I think they were methodical, says in the title, and their win. Morocco is one of those teams which they're very pragmatic. They can play multiple styles, as you alluded to. If they need to sit back and be defensive, they can do so. If they want to play on the ball, they can do so as well. So I think Morocco was built for a tournament because they are adept to different styles and they can adjust to the teams that they are playing. So I think that happens. Jason Gooner comes in and says, Ghana was the shock of the round. At least the other big guns got a draw out of it. This is true. And Ghana played for the draw and ended up backfiring for them. We'll see how they look against Egypt when they play them later on this week, which is they need a result there. Tedexer, good to see you as well. What about Mali? Haven't seen the full game yet. Mali looked good in their game. Mali versus South Africa, they looked like the better team, and it wasn't really close in that sense. Mali is a team that I was giving more credit to in their group because I felt that, again, we saw what they've done in the youth programs, and it's about getting that group now to play up to another level at the youth level. So at the national team level. So I think it'll be fun to see what they're able to do. And I do agree with you, Tedexter. Cape Verde has been improving over the years, doing a good job in their recruitment, both in the domestic leagues, but also finding those Portuguese dual nationals in Portugal and other leagues that come in and play. So I'm very much happy to see what they go. What was my prediction for Ghana versus Cape Verde? I said it would be similar to the Nigeria Guinea-Bissau game. It was worse, though. So I expected a game where they would get one goal scored, another goal scored, and then that would go through there. But then also, JD, this is what happens when you start a goalie who hasn't played in like a year. I don't know why Richard Ofori started for Ghana when he hasn't played for club. His first game starting was the friendly versus Namibia. And
Yeah.
a goalie out of that type of form, that's a questionable choice overall.